Right. Ooh, look at this. But this is real life. You feel me? Life, real life. Alright, just gonna try to wait for some more of you to join. But welcome back to Prudish Pillow Talk Live. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Amanda. I am assuming majority of you are gonna watch this on the playback here on YouTube and Instagram Live. So I am working two cameras at once. So depending on where you're looking at this at, if you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm looking at two screens. So today we are going to talk about sex positivity. I wanted to wait till a few more of you got on here, but hey, Amy. But the reality is that I got stuff to do, and I'm packing to go to Texas to see my little brother. My button's falling. To see my little brother. So I am about to get started. So let me see if I can get my button to stay up. Yes, no, maybe. Whatever. So, first and foremost, I want to start the conversation with have y'all heard about this Aisha Curry thing that's going on right now? So, I think the hype about it has died down a little bit, but basically, on this week's Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith, she was discussing, I think Jada asked what they do about the groupies and stuff who be all up on their husbands, because it was all the women. All the women of the Curry family were present at this Red Table Talk. So she asked them, so how do you all feel about the groupies? What do y'all do about the groupies? And Aisha was like, sometimes she has to be really mature about it. She has matured about it more over the years, but then she basically said like her husband gets all of this attention from these women, basically talking like they're all up on him and all these different things, but she is missing out on male attention. So when I saw that, I was like, hold on, sis. Right? 4 years ago, you was all on Twitter with your Twitter fingers talking about how you prefer to dress classy versus trendy, basically referencing like, the Fashion Nova outfits and all these different things and how women dress now, a little more revealing, sexy like. And she was basically coming for women who dressed trendy. And by trendy, she kind of meant like sexy. Okay, so she was basically saying like she likes to dress modest and keep herself covered up for the person that matters, which is her husband. So when I saw that, I was like, well, wait, Aisha. Wait a minute now, girl. A few years ago, you was talking to us and telling us basically that you don't want no attention from any other males. And on the Red Table Talk, she basically said that she wished that she got, attention from elsewhere because she doesn't get a lot of outside attention outside of her marriage. Now, a lot of people are saying that she's feeling like she doesn't get a lot of attention in her marriage, but I don't think that's what she meant. I think, in my opinion, how I took it is exactly how she said it. She wants male attention outside of her husband. And that's not to say like she wants to cheat, she wants a side boo or anything like that. She's just basically saying that she wants fans. She wants other people to validate that she's beautiful, that she's sexy, which I feel like we all want that at some point. Like, you can't tell me that like when you're out and somebody gives you a compliment, that it doesn't boost your confidence a little bit. So, I know when I'm out and somebody's like, hey, little lady, you are so beautiful. Has anybody told you you're beautiful today? I'm always like, oh my God, thank you, right? I appreciate it. So I definitely understood where she was coming from. But I think where the upward is with some people is that it's very contradictory of what she said before, which is that she doesn't need nor does she seek outside attention outside of her marriage from her husband. But now since she's feeling very I guess now since she's feeling insecure because she's older, I'm assuming because she's older, because she's, she's had babies. She's a mommy. Like, she's in mommy land. Her life is all about her children. She is, to me, Aisha Curry represents the ideal homemaker. She's an entrepreneur. There are a lot of entrepreneurs who are stay-at-home moms who, don't work outside of the home, and they basically take care of their children. And I feel like because she is so engulfed in that persona of herself, being like the stay-at-home mom, being all about the home, because her thing is all about lifestyle and lifestyle within the home. So baking, DIY projects, spending time with your children, like all of those different things. So, sis, you created this image of yourself for yourself because you said that you don't want attention from elsewhere, and you created this image of a homemaker basically, and there's nothing wrong being a homemaker. But truth be told, once women become mothers and wives, they are still attractive to other men, but other men kind of see you as off limits, especially once you become a mother. For some reason, it's like the sex appeal like drips off of you for some reason. And I think like now she wants that outside validation because of how she is probably feeling about herself, because in the interview she basically said that since she doesn't get that validation from outside people, that she feels like, oh my god, is something wrong with me. But you say you didn't want it, so they're not giving it to you because you said that's not what you wanted. You said, I don't want that. I don't need that because I got a husband. So let your husband validate you, sis, because that's what you want. So that's either here nor there at this point. If you follow me on Facebook, you can look at my status to see how I feel about it. But I feel like she's a walking contradiction, and people have been saying it's okay to change your mind, yada, yada, yada. Yep, it's perfectly okay to change your mind. But when respectability politics no longer suits you, and you want to be validated for how you look because of what you wear or your makeup, or you trying to be fly, you need to think about that. Because now you want that validation from outside people. So I hope Steph is making her feel lovely. As we know, just because people have money and everything like that doesn't mean they're happy. So I hope she's happy, but I hope she also realizes like what a contradiction that was. So moving on from that kind of touches on what we're going to talk about today, which is how to be, my hair is doing its own thing, which is how to be sex positive, or like what that just looks like. So a lot of people feel that in order to be sex positive, you have to be into like kink. You have to have all of this super kink, BDSM. And in case you didn't know, being kink and BDSM are like two totally different things. I hope you have a very blessed day too, Sean, on YouTube. So kink and BDSM are two different things. People feel like you have to like just be like this sexy person all the time. And like if you can think of the most extreme sex educator in your life, which probably is not me, you can equate that to what people think is sex positive. But the truth is, being sex positive is basically, how can I put this plainly? It's basically respecting other people's views while doing your own thing. So that means that if one of my best friends is into bondage and domination, right? And they come to me and they tell me about their experiences, and I say, oh girl, that's nasty, right? That's not being sex positive. Okay, so being sex positive is all about me saying, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Or just even without saying, just saying, I'm not comfortable with this, conversation. And that's okay. You cannot be comfortable. And, your friends should also ask if you would be comfortable enough to talk about that first anyway. Also, being sex positive is about being knowledgeable as well. So, like when we think about the abortion law that just passed here in Georgia, like that's definitely not sex positive because of the lack of sex education around the policy, right? So, people who are sex positive don't only just think about sex about intercourse, but think about the whole aspects of sex and sexuality. So I remember when I think I was at my orientation for Widener University, which is where I'm going now to get my PhD. Right. And one of the director at that time, he asked us, he was like, okay, so why do you want to be like, what do you want to do with your degree? And people kept saying, I want to make the world a more sex positive place. And he was like, well, what does that mean? Because what does it mean? Sex positive means something different for everybody. So for me, like being sex positive means that it means that you don't yuck somebody else's yum, which is what I use when I used to sell toys. And yucking somebody else's yum basically is what I said earlier. Like your friend is telling you about their experiences. So maybe your friend enjoys anal, right? But you're like, oh my God, you shouldn't do that. Ladies shouldn't do that. But in that moment, what you do is you make your friend probably feel like small because of what they like and because you are invalidating their experience and what they enjoy. So when you think about when people say, oh, I'm a sex positive person, but you may think that person is kind of like a prude or something like that, right? Right? But in reality, you can be sex positive without having to show off your sexuality all the time. When we say that somebody is sex positive, all we're basically saying is that they are knowledgeable and they are respectful of other people's sexuality and their sex practices. You can be sex positive without being into the various cultures that are out there in the sex community. You can be sex positive without being a sex educator. And some ways that you can become more sex positive are basically to do your own research, learn about communities on your own, ask questions, and then when you ask questions, make sure that your questions are respectful of the person who you are talking to. So like this month is National Masturbation Month, right? So that's a part of thinking about when we think about being sex positive and we think about conversations around sex or conversations about masturbation and everything like that, we know that there are a lot of stigmas around like masturbation. And I know like we should have more conversations about masturbation, especially in sex education when it comes to like high school and all that kind of stuff, because it's the safest form of sex. And I feel like if we had more conversations like that, more children would grow up being more sex positive and not so how do you put it, maybe sexually repressed or grossed out about the idea of masturbation and different things like that, because it is something that's natural. Everybody masturbates. I mean, I don't know if everybody masturbates, but it's something natural. I mean, if you ain't got nobody else to get you off, I mean, you might as well do it yourself, right? Right. Instead of seeking out some rando person. But if you like to support random people in their causes, that's up to you. So, and that just brings up the point about like sex workers, right? So if you like supporting sex workers, that's a part of being sex positive because that is a job. Common practice with what? Exactly. But like with sex workers, like respecting what they do as entrepreneurs or as employees, that's a part of being sex positive, supporting their causes. A part of being sex positive is that when you see the anti-abortion bill is not saying that, well, people should close their legs anyway and stop having all these babies and stop using abortion as a form of birth control. That's not being sex positive. A part of being sex positive says that, wow, so they are implementing this new bill around abortion. But what can we do to make sure that we prevent more unwanted pregnancies? Because, like, if you haven't read the bill fully, like, if you cross state lines to get an abortion, you can get up to 10 years in prison for, like, attempted murder. Common practice, masturbation. I'm still confused, Amy. Oh, are you saying that masturbation is a common practice amongst people, like humans? Is that what you're saying? I'm assuming that's what you mean. I'm going to go with yes. So we just have to change the conversations that we have around sex so more people can be sex positive and take sex positive stands when we are talking about things. Great. Okay. That's what I felt like you meant after I talked about it, said it out loud a little bit. Okay, so when we talk about sex positivity, we have to keep in mind that that is also around sexuality as well. Sex isn't always about intercourse itself. That also touches on people's other sexual practices with other people. Their their gender preferences with the people that they have sex with, and just educating ourselves around things that we don't know, keeping our mouth shut when we don't know things so we don't sound ignorant. So, what can you do to be more sex positive? Oh, girl, get your walk on. Y'all, me and Amy, we're doing this thing called 75 Hard. She just started, but I'm on day 62 or 63, so she's working out while watching this because she's such a great friend. So, yeah, so like I said before, some things that you can do to become a more sex positive person includes just educating yourself, asking questions when questions need to be asked. Also, don't yuck anybody else's yum. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it's not for them. So if you don't want to talk about it, that's one thing. Just let them know that you're uncomfortable talking about the subject. But you should never shame somebody for their sex, their sexual preferences. A lot of people feel that they are open sexually, or that because they're super sexual beings that they are sex positive people. But just because you're a super sexual person, or you may be able to talk about sex freely, doesn't necessarily mean that you yourself are a sex positive person. There may be some things that you are very biased to, and we all have biases, but there might be some things that you still turn your nose up at because you aren't well versed in certain things. So when we say, like I said before, when we say that somebody is sex positive, that just means that they don't yuck other people's yums. They take a non-judgmental stance on a lot of topics and a lot of conversations to see, the other side of the coin. So it's just like when we talk about the Aisha Curry thing. So somebody from like a sex positive point of view would see, okay, so like I said, 4 years ago, she made the comments about how women dress and she stays covered up for the person that matters most. And that goes back to, sexuality. So she's basically saying that I saved my body for my husband because he's the person who should see it and he's the person that matters the most. Like, none of y'all randos matter. So I don't need y'all seeing my body. But a sex positive person would know and would challenge that, as we have been doing all day, to say that what you wear doesn't equate to the type of person that you are, right? And just because you wear certain things doesn't mean that you are asking for certain attention. If you're wearing a mini skirt, you might just be feeling yourself that day, or you might just have nice legs. Like, I have nice legs and I own a few mini skirts. I love them, right? So we have to remember that sexuality is it applies to so many different things in our lives. And when we talk about like how people dress, if they can get an abortion or not, the type of sex that they like to have, all of that is included in that conversation about being sex positive. Okay, so do any of you have any questions, any comments, concerns? I didn't know I could take questions on this thing. Oh, what? Okay. Any questions, concerns, any points, any comments on Aisha or anything like that before I go and start packing again for my trip and cleaning up before I leave? Going once, going twice. All right, so that's it for today's episode of Prudish Pillow Talk. Thank you to everybody who joined today. It will be available here on Instagram Live for 24 hours, and then it will be available on YouTube forever. Would sex positive equate to acceptance, not agreement? Yes, so it would equate to acceptance, and not so much acceptance, but respect. So respecting somebody else's choices, but not saying that you are in agreement with them. So yes. So like there are a lot of things like in the sex education world that we talk about that sometimes I'm like, I don't know about that. But I know that, those are people's lives and how they choose to live their lives. I don't necessarily agree with them, but I respect their points of view. Thank you. I will try to be as safe as I can, and I will continue educating the people. All right, y'all. So, gotta go. Gotta finish packing and cleaning up before I head to my parents' house. So, thank you again for tuning in, and I will see y'all next Wednesday. Peace out.